When I was younger, they taught the girls in church a lesson. Do you see this paper? No wrinkles, no folds, perfectly clean. Now rumple it up and straighten it back out. Make it look like it did. You can't, right? We shook our heads. This paper now covered in creases. It can never go back to what it once was. Would you want to write on this paper? We shook our heads. Now imagine a flower. Squeeze it between your hands. Some of the petals fall. The ones that stayed covered in crinkles, withered and faded. Would you want to pick this flower? We shook our heads. No. This is what happens when you do not treasure your purity, they told us. You become the crumpled paper. You become the wilted flower. We walked away scared of becoming something no one would want to write on, a plant no one would pick. Embarrassed of the creases and fallen petals, we never shared them. We kept them locked away. But when we went home, we cried in the mirror. Handprints on our skin we were taught we had become stained with. When I grew older, I read about the prostitute that the men were stoning in the Bible. The rocks left bruises more visible than her sin scars. How when Jesus approached the men, he asked them to put the stones down if they had ever sinned. For if they have, then shouldn't they be in her place as well? All the men dropped the stones and fled. Jesus, the only perfect person left, although he had the authority to throw them at the woman, he went to her and said, "You are forgiven." How are we to view ourselves as unusable paper when we are not the author who has written our names on slips in a book that can never be torn out? How are we to view ourselves as a dying flower when we are not the gardener who waters us with the living water that can regrow new life from even just a stem? He plants new seeds in us from the very flowers we destroy, turning curses into blessing, mourning into dancing. If God himself saw the prostitute as a paper that was worth continuing his story on, as a broken stem he found worth watering into a stronger flower, more susceptible to withhold the winds every time it is regrown, then how selfish are we to teach that we are papers that can never be written on, or flowers that no one would garden, when Jesus himself picks the dying plant every time?